Well, we are delighted to welcome a new sponsor to the Property Tribe's ecosystem of products and services for landlords. And this one has been missing from our ecosystem. So I'm very delighted to welcome Fiducia Wealth Management. And I'm joined by Managing Director Gordon Kearney. So welcome to Property Tribes, Gordon. And it's so good to have you on board because we have so many topics about wealth management, pensions, savings, and we need an expert like you. So give us a little background history of Fiducia Wealth and your credentials.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'd like to say I'm super excited about joining the community. I have worked for some time in the background with Property Tribes Financial Services, so I'm no stranger to the community as such. The question, who is Fiducia? So Fiducia's been going for about 20 years now. Crucially, we're independent. We are multi-award winning, and we are also chartered, which is the highest accolade you can get in the financial advice arena. We're based in Colchester in Essex, but we have got clients throughout the country.
Well, you mentioned that you've already got that relationship with Property Tribes Financial Services. So to bring you into the PT fold is wonderful because it just kind of creates this really harmonious circle that our members can be part of. So, there's many Property Tribes members that just solely focus on property investment, but there's a much bigger world out there, isn't there? At what point do you like clients to come on board with you? Can they join you at any point on their wealth journey? But I would imagine that, the sooner they join you, the better, really.
Absolutely. So when we engage with clients and prospective clients, we look to formulate a plan. And obviously, like all things in life, the sooner you start a plan, the better, because you can obviously measure the journey as well. But, that's not to say people don't join on their own journey at a certain juncture where they perhaps need some tax advice, or indeed want to sort of look at pensions or so on and so forth. So yeah, there's no definitive answer. We can do it both ways.
Now, you're all about diversification, aren't you? Because we hear, of don't hold all your eggs in one basket. It's obviously very risky to do so. And there are so many ways to diversify wealth. Just really describe kind of the client journey with you, Gordon. So when somebody first gets in touch, how does it play out?
So primarily they've come to us because they've either got a problem or they've got something in mind that they want to achieve. So at the heart of the relationship is, what is the client looking to achieve? Often we get people coming in and saying, I've got a pension I'd like to fund for retirement. But then the conversation opens up into broader conversations about what their life goals are, what their objectives are. And then that allows us to formulate a plan. And the plan looks at these goals and objectives, but then also looks at how can we be tax optimal? Whether or not it's getting tax reliefs or deferring certain taxes. So the idea really is you want to be as tax optimal in the accumulation phase of your wealth as you are in the decumulation phase. So that's typically how we engage initially with clients.
Wealth management is so important because people go to such lengths to accumulate wealth. And then, they've got an ongoing journey protecting that wealth as well, haven't they?
Yeah, so that's the point about being tax optimal, both in accumulation and deaccumulation. And what we have to do as advisors is to put in place a plan which allows the clients to see graphically, by way of what we call a cash flow analysis, how much they can spend reasonably, but also how long for how long. So that's the first part, primarily making sure that the clients are well looked after and that they can enjoy their retirement. Mm-hmm. But then also beyond that, what about the next generations? And do they want to start gifting? And if they do want to start gifting, when's too soon? When's too late? Because of certain rules. But also, what are the tax implications of starting to gift? Whether or not that's, the sale of a property, sale of a portfolio, or outright gifting in itself. So yes, wealth management also entails wealth preservation and a lot of intergenerational thinking as well. Because often what we find is that we don't just have the clients who are in their 60s we have the next generation, because the older clients want us to be part of the equation for this generational transfer.
We see that a lot on property tribes, lots of questions about that. Now, how do pensions and investments complement property?
So I believe you've got a graphic that I can demonstrate. So this is something that we use with our existing clients, which says that it's not a binary decision between a property or a pension. They are there to complement one another. So when you're looking at retirement or your objectives, that you have more eggs and more baskets, and with that comes added benefits of a deaccumulation of risk. So what I mean by that is, the more assets you've got that act differently, then you have obviously uncorrelated assets. What's more, you decrease other risks like liquidity risk, interest rate risk, regulatory risk, political risk, the politics of envy, for example, when it comes to landlord community. So by diversifying, you basically help de-risk your overall objective, albeit most of those are related to retirement, but there can be other objectives. And then also in having different products, for the want of a better word, moreover solutions, you can then be that tax optimal that I'm talking about, whether or not it's the tax relief that relates to pensions, or whether or not it's deferral of capital gains via other solutions once the gain's been realised.
This service that you provide is much needed, because most people understand property. It's relatively simple. Most of us have bought our own homes before we got started in buy-to-let. But certainly speaking for myself, Gordon, and no offense, when I hear about pensions and stuff like that, my eyes literally glaze over. I have no understanding at all. So I think it's so great that Property Tribes members can now come to you and get a really holistic approach to wealth management and indeed wealth preservation.
Yeah, so you're glazing over. It's not the first time I've heard that. I mean, they are complicated, but as a business, we try to distill the myths and the complexity and deliver it in a way which is relatively straightforward. I think it's fair to add at this junction that historically, financial advice as a profession, or indeed an industry as it was then, hasn't done itself any favors with, some of the mis-selling that occurred back in the sort of late 80s, early 90s. And some of the practices seemed perhaps potentially a little dodgy, commission for this and so on and so forth. It's a long way away from that now. We're talking about, a profession whereby highly qualified, highly regulated, and some of and I'm going to say this word, sort of the older generation of now sort of retired. And what we're seeing now in the profession is people that are coming from university and coming into the profession, which adds to the quality and the standards from IFA practices such as Fiducia.
Well, that's really good to know. Now, what about when it comes to tax planning and trusts? That's something that Fiducia can help with as well.
It is indeed. It is a very complex area. And here at Fiducia, we've got a number of specialists that basically get involved in the real nitty-gritty work. So yes, we can assist where appropriate.
So Gordon, we've talked about kind of the whole package that you can offer, but what happens if somebody just wants advice about one particular issue? Can they still get in touch?
Absolutely. We deal with clients on a case-by-case basis. So a typical example of that would be, I've got 3 or 4 old pensions. Could you review them for me? And that's all we do. We do the body of work, and that they don't necessarily have to become a client thereafter. Equally, there may be a tax situation that a client comes to us and says, could you help me out specifically in this area? I don't want any other advice. And we respect that. So yes, we can cater for both sort of situations.
Well, that's really good to know. And what we'd like to do is to encourage Property Tribes members to get in touch with Fiducia, and we will put the contact details below this video. And Gordon, I think, we are in amplified risk times, in my opinion. We have got interest rate threat, we've got political upheaval, we've got actually world upheaval as well. So I just think the timing for our collaboration is very important.
No, I totally agree. I think the reality is the political climate is uncertain. We don't know what's coming to happen in terms of taxes, in terms of regulation, and we've got to keep moving and adapting and basically providing the solutions for our clients as and when they change. So I totally agree and echo your points there.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to have you on board with Property Tribes. And as we said, Fiducia Wealth Management work very closely with Property Tribes Financial Services as well. So when you're getting your finances sorted, you can also work with Gordon and his team to sort out the management of your wealth. Because if you're going to go to all this trouble to create wealth, it makes sense to preserve it. And particularly, you know, as Gordon said, if you've got the next generation, you want to make sure that you can leave something to your children in a tax efficient manner. So thank you very much for joining us here on Property Tribes, Gordon, and we're really looking forward to working with you and to having you support the Property Tribes community on their wealth journey.
It's a pleasure and I look forward to it.